Hello, everybody, and happy 2023, and welcome to another Florida-friendly landscaping educational program. Today, we're going to talk about Hernando County's water rules and what you need to know. I know it's not the most exciting of topics, but it is a very important topic because, as we all know, water is life, and this is being recorded so that you can go over it, know the rules. I know there's a lot of confusion, and so hopefully we'll be able to clear some things up today. I'm Lilly Browning. I am the Florida Friendly Landscaping Program Coordinator here in Hernando County, and I work for Hernando County Utilities, which provides water for about 70,000 customers here in Hernando County. My email is LillyB, LILLY, 2 L's in the middle, B, at hernandocounty.us. If you are watching this and would like a copy of the program, a PDF copy of the slides, or if you'd like me to email you some of the links that I provide, just email me and I would be glad to do that. So let's get started first. Before we jump into the rules, I was just looking at a Facebook group for my general neighborhood, and there's a big misunderstanding, especially among new people, and sometimes not even new people, where exactly our water comes from. Do you just turn on the faucet and it magically appears there? No, that is not how it works. There's various ways in which Hernando County citizens have access to water, but there is one place from which we access that water. It is the groundwater. That is the most basic way to put it. Under us is an aquifer. And if you see the map here, it's part of a system called the Floridan Aquifer. That is not a misprint. It is the Floridan Aquifer, not the Floridian Aquifer. As you can see, the system, it's a system of underwater caves that hold water, underground caves that hold water, and it reaches pretty far into Georgia, partially into South Carolina, and even into Alabama and Mississippi. But that is where all of Hernando County retrieves their drinking water, from that groundwater from the Floridan Aquifer. There are other municipalities. Hillsborough County has a very, very, very large reservoir, maybe where you came from, operated on a reservoir system. What we do here in Hernando County is we draw water from the ground from the Floridan Aquifer. And the aquifer is really, we are very, very lucky to have this system here in Florida, because it is the safest, it's the most cost-efficient place to store our water, and nature has, already done that for us. So I refer to the aquifer as our water savings account, where we know we have, water in that account down in the aquifer from which we can draw. But we need to also, if we did nothing but draw from our savings account, it would soon be empty. Same thing happens with our water savings account or the Floridan Aquifer. Here's what it looks like. So just when you turn on your faucet, and, instead of mindlessly just, we all tend to go about our day, just grab the water because it's there. Think about the absolutely gorgeous world where our water is being stored underground naturally in the Floridan Aquifer. This picture was taken by a group of cave divers called Karst Underwater Research. They do amazing things to show us where our water comes from and to do a lot of research. This is in Weeki Wachee State Park. So this is what it looks like as you're driving on 19. We're seeing one thing, but there's this whole other world under us where our water comes from. Only 7 people has seen this particular area where these divers have been, but just know that it's there. And that is where our water is stored in this gorgeous, beautiful land under us. But it's not impervious to the things we do on land, obviously. So we need to do everything we can to protect it. How do we get the water? How do the citizens of Hernando County retrieve that water to use it for our purposes? Well, Hernando County Utilities, as I mentioned, we have approximately 70,000 customers, and to whom we provide water, and we use 48 municipal wells to access that water from the aquifer to deliver it to your homes. The city of Brooksville, if you are in the city limits, not just if you have a Brooksville address, because that stretches pretty far. You are in the city limits of the city of Brooksville, which has approximately 8,000 citizens. You also have wells that will draw your water. I don't know how many, but you have a municipal system with which you draw water and deliver it to your customers. All the rest of us are if you don't live within the city of Brooksville limits or are not provided water by Hernando County Utilities, then you access your water from your own private well. I happen to live in an area where it's not served by a municipal water company, so I have to utilize a private well. And some people in the county, usually this is an older idea, they kind of grandfathered into it. They have wells that are not potable wells. You should not drink from them, but they are irrigation wells only. The cost of, if you water efficiently, if you irrigate efficiently, the cost of putting a well in, to me, would not be worth, not having to pay for your irrigation water. And we at Hernando County Utilities will no longer meter them or help you service them in any way. But that's how we get water here in Hernando County. All of these sources, private wells, city of Brooksville, Hernando County Utilities, getting it from the aquifer. We're all getting it from the same place. So as long as we have that clear, and this is how we do it at Hernando County Utilities, and this is going to be, how most municipal systems work. Renee Snow works here in the engineering department. She's administrative assistant, but she put these next 2 slides together to explain, how this system works. So it rains. I don't know if I can get her drops to move here. It rains into the end that goes through the ground, gets stored in the aquifer. So we have a well pump, 48 of them actually, that draws the water up. We're drawing the water up out of the aquifer, and we store it as we got it, and that is called raw or green water. Then it is put through some treatment to deliver to the customers, a little bit of chlorine, to get rid of bacteria or anything such as that. So then the chlorinated water goes out to our customers. This is a very, simplified version of what we do, but we call that distribution. When the water we put into your home is called distribution. The water we deal with that came out of your home, that's called collections. That's a whole different topic. Just know, we have great workers who make these things happen. I personally, given the choice, would much rather be on the distribution side than the collection side, but we have great workers on both sides who help keep all of us healthy. Here's, in reality, what our well systems look like. So the The pipes will be green. That is taking the raw or the green water. It's not really green water, but that's what it's referred to because the pipes are green. The raw water from the ground. Then it goes through a chlorinator system. Here we have the computer brain and where we, a holding tank. This computer, makes the whole system work. And then the blue pipes, the blue pumps will be distributing the water from our wells out to our customers' homes. It's probably basically how most municipal systems are going to work. And if you have a private well, I'll show you a picture of a private well in a moment, but what happens there is you also have a pump that takes it out of the aquifer. And then you may have a holding tank to hold some of it. And then that water gets sent into your house. Missing that chlorinating system, you are basically taking the water from the aquifer and drinking it. And we will get into that. I've been doing that a good portion of my life and I'm still alive. So, we'll talk about some things you might want to consider if you're also on a private well. But as we know from, elementary school, we've always had the same water. We don't generate new water. We don't lose water. Water is always part of the water cycle. So we have had the same water that the dinosaurs had, this exact same water, but it's not always readily available in a form with which we can use it. So the other issue is we have the same amount of water. That's true. We can't really lose water. It is somewhere on Earth, the same amount cycling around. Same amount of water, way more people. Especially here in Florida, we're in the fastest growing state, in the nation. So Florida's population, at the time that, recently is 20 million, over 20 million. It says we're ranked third in the US as far as population growth. That staggers back and forth. I think with the advent of people moving around due to COVID, we've had another big, huge population surge, a combination of COVID, people wanting to move down here because they can work from home and not deal with the weather. Also, the storms in some of, the Caribbean islands and stuff have brought more people, here as well. So we're got a huge population growth. We have 6.3% of the US population. It's increased. It has increased. Our population has increased from 2010 to 2015, and we know now we're years away past that. It increased in that period 7.8%. And Florida is projected to reach 26 million by 2040. I came to Florida when I was 11 years old, just turning 11, in 1978. I think I looked, right now, the last population number that I knew of in Hernando County was 180,000. I bet you will be approaching 200, without any problem in the next few years. I don't remember what the population was in 1978, but I can tell you it was a whole lot less. I'm thinking 40, 50,000, something like that. I've watched a lot of growth. Anyone who's spent any time in Florida, basically anywhere, has watched a lot of growth. So we have a lot more people with which to share resources. So when it comes to our drinking water, I want you to imagine a swimming pool. And we have placed in that swimming pool a huge sponge that fits, the whole space of that swimming pool. It's highly porous and permeable. That's the way the land is, the karst topography where our water is stored. So think about that pool filled up with a sponge, but there's a garden hose in there continuously keeping that pool full. If you put a big straw into the sponge, you could drink water out of it, you could pull water out of it indefinitely, as long as you did not extract faster than the garden hose was refilling the pool. The same thing with our aquifer. It gets refilled, or what we call recharged, in various ways, but we have to make sure we are not taking more out than is being replenished. And I have this picture here to show all of us, Hernando County Utilities, the city of Brooksville, all the private well owners, we each have our straws or our pumps in the same glass, in the same aquifer, and, you know, beyond our county as well. So, you know, we all have, just imagine these as well pumps, all these straws, and this glass is the aquifer. We're all drawing from the same place. So I'm hoping explaining that will help you realize, even if you have a private well, you don't really have a private, unlimited source with which you are drawing water. Just because you're not paying for the water, you're paying for the electricity to pump it out. But just because you are not paying for it like someone on a municipal system, it's not really just, you know, a free open access resource, or it shouldn't be. What are some of the threats to our aquifer, to our aquifer itself? Of course, we mentioned that population growth, contamination of the aquifer itself, over extraction. And this information came from the North Florida Land Trust.org, and they cite that more than half of the water taken up from the public supply ends up watering private lawns. I can tell you that, you know, that is true. Here in Hernando County Utilities, I believe it is 60% of the water that we distribute gets put on people's lawns. I don't find that, you know, very sustainable for that 2040 outlook that we just discussed. I think there'll be plenty of water still in Florida in that 2040 outlook in the years to come for humans to use, but not necessarily for everyone to be putting on their lawns as freely as we are now. That's just my personal opinion. Saltwater intrusion can occur when the aquifer waters, you know, levels get low. There's not a lot of water. We have some massive springs that, you know, pump water in them. Wikiwachi is one of them, at incredible rates. But if things start slowing down and we're in a drought and things get lower, definitely that salt water can start seeping in there. And as we all know, we can't drink salt water, not without a very expensive system to make it drinkable. Climate change, you know, with the unpredictability of the weather, the high highs, the low lows, the droughts, the floods, all these unpredictable things, even up north, you know, unpredictable blizzards, which create a lot of snow melt, which creates floods, and it all just affects each other. And of course, the loss of those recharge areas. What's a recharge area? Recharging is filling back up. So an area that allows the aquifer to be recharged back up. It could be a spring like this photo here, or even just woodlands, swamps, open fields, anything that lets the water go back in. We're losing more of those, of course, due to that population and to development. All that being said, the reason Hernando County enacts watering restrictions are for kind of the reasons that I just explained to you. We have 180,000 people. We have 70,000 people who are customers of ours, but in the county, we have 180,000. We need to try to somewhat mitigate how those people, all of them, are extracting water so that we can all share it with each other. So that being said, no matter who you are in Hernando County, no matter if you have a private well, or even a private well just for irrigation, even if that private well is taking from a surface body of water, all of us are on the same watering restrictions. Part of it is so that, with all these people, we don't all get up and decide at the same time to start watering our lawns, because that would be a lot of pressure on the aquifer. So this kind of stretches it out, the time periods, which is why it says Hernando County allows 1 day per week watering before 8, or, that's an or, that's not an and, by the way, that's an or, after 6 p.m. And the reason we gave you one of those 2 time frames to choose from, not both, is hoping that, the population, again, some will do it at this time, some will do it at that time, for all of those who are supposed to water on Mondays, or all of those who are supposed to water on Tuesdays. That's why that's done. Florida Friendly Landscaping and the Health of Your Lawn would tell you that before 8 a.m. is the ideal time frame, for the lawn itself, for the health of your lawn. So, here are your watering days. This is not a temporary thing. This is how it's going to be in Hernando County. I don't see it getting less strict, with our population growth. So it's pretty easy to follow. My address ends in 1, so my day would be Monday if I did water my lawn, which I don't. If your address ends in 2 or 3, your day is Tuesday, and on from there. Do you see any Saturdays or Sundays here? No. Do you see people watering on Saturdays and Sundays? Yeah, we do. So we'll get into that as well. But these are the watering days for every person who has a home in Hernando County, even if you have this private well. So, and like I said, the well, you have a pump into the aquifer, brings water up, holds it, if you have a tank like this, and then sends it as it is. That raw water is what a utilities department would call it, to your home. So now we have several different regulators of our water. So it starts with the Water Management District, and we are in the Southwest Florida Water Management District. So that's where our water rules start. But as I'm going to point out to you, the Water Management District will make it clear that they have certain rules, but if a municipality has rules that are stricter, you have to follow the municipality's stricter rules. So under SwiftMud's year-round conservation measures, it says the year-round conservation measures contained in this section are applicable to who? All users, including end users served by public or private water systems. Hopefully that settles that debate right there. The Water Management District is telling you these watering conservation measures apply to everyone in public or private water systems, and they shall be effective throughout all geographical areas within the district. It says any board or executive director order that is more restrictive than a water conservation measure contained in this chapter shall supersede the water conservation measure for the duration of the applicable order, which our duration is forever, basically. So what this is telling you is if you just go to SwiftMud and they say for our district, you can water 2 days a week, but they're going to note there the counties that are actually under 1 day a week watering, and that is us. And the times also, we, cinched up the times a little bit as well. Where are you going to find this information that I'm telling you? If you are very, very interested and want to read the municipal code, here is the link where you can find our year-round watering restrictions on the Muni Code website. Or email me. I'll be glad to send you this link if you want to go through that fascinating reading, but I'm going to break down some of it for you. But before I do that, I just wanted to show you a comparison of two people that I know personally who are on Hernando County's municipal watering system. They are in very similar circumstances. At the time when I took these consumption readings out of their their accounts, they both were, both of these households include a couple who have brought in, an older person for which they were caring. Okay, so this person on the left does not ever water his lawn. This person on the right does water their lawn once a week. I just wanted to show you, it's hard to kind of understand these, so I will explain, what we're reading here. The non-lawn waterer in May of 2022, what this really means is that he consumed 9,100 gallons of water that month. This person over here, person B, again, same circumstances. Two people, also, three people in the household, a couple caring for someone who needed care. So in the same month, person A used 9,100 gallons, person B used 19,100 gallons. What's the difference between these two people? This person waters their lawn once a week. In April of that same year, person A, the non-waterer, used 5,700 gallons. Person B used 19,800 gallons. That big of a difference. And the only difference is one waters their lawn, one doesn't. March, 7,400 gallons. The person A, the non-waterer, the lawn waterer used in that same month, 22,700. And it just, you can look at it and read it down from there. Just making you aware why do I use so much water? Why do I have to pay so much? You might want to consider maybe making some changes where you don't have to water your lawn, or at least not as much. If you're in a situation where you have to install new sod, we do have an exemption to the once a week watering rules for those installing new sod that is in 50% or more of your watering zone. Here are the rules. I won't go through them exhaustively of what you are allowed to water in new sod. It's not like you can get new sod and you just don't have to follow any rules. Here are the rules, and this is actually the best for the health of that new sod as well. We didn't just willy-nilly apply these rules. We got the opinion of turf experts at the University of Florida of how to water in, your new sod. What is the best way? It's frequent light watering is how you would start out. I've had so many situations where people call me just in a panic because they got new sod and then their water bill was outrageous because the sod company told them just water each zone an hour a day. Your new sod cannot handle that much water. It's just a huge waste of water. Now, here at Hernando County Utilities, you can get an adjustment to your bill for new sod. If you happen to use over 50,000 gallons, you would have to call customer service and find out, exactly what they work out. You get that once a year. That adjustment can apply to new sod or to a underground leak. Not an above ground leak. It has to be an underground leak. But if you used it for your new sod and you have a massive leak in that same year, then you just have to pay it. You can't use that adjustment. So I would call and see, I don't know all the rules about that, but you would work that out with the billing department. Other rules, and this is where we get into the nitty-gritty and people call and want to know, these exact situations in their lives. So, and these are rules from the Water Management District. We just fall back on their rules for these situations. Watering in grass seed. I can't afford new sod. I'm just getting seed. And they believe they should have the same exemption, that people putting in sod. Well, to get that same exemption for watering, the entire area must not contain any plant material at all. No weeds, no nothing, bare dirt. In order for grass seed to qualify for the new plant establishment exemption. So keep that in mind. But if you are renovating a poor performing lawn, and that has bare patches and thinning, here's the rules there. If less than 50% of an irrigation zone has been affected, only the seeded patches within that area qualify for the new plant establishment exemption. The patches must be watered by some targeted means, such as hand watering or a small hose and sprinkler. What does that mean? That means if you have an area of your yard where there are just small spots that you want to seed in, you can, water those areas extra. You cannot turn on your irrigation if it's less than 50%, of that zone. What you can do is utilize what they call a targeted means, which means you, hose in hand, standing there, or even the old-fashioned hose and sprinkler. Don't leave it on like continuously, but you can, so it's only getting that bare spot that you are trying to renovate. Overseeding. This is a time of year when people love to throw around ryegrass seed, annual ryegrass seed, so they can have a green lawn during the winter. It lasts till about May. Nothing wrong with doing that, but just know, just throwing seed over your existing lawn does not qualify you for any exemption to the watering rules. So, the best thing is if you have a decent, enough turf there, even if it's, straw or what I call golden colored, it should protect those seeds, and the once a week watering should, allow them to water in. So just so you know, if you're going to use seed for a new lawn, and it cannot be a lawn that's only going to last for a few months, like ryegrass. Ryegrass will not qualify you. It has to be a grass that will grow here and stay, such as Bahia, Bermuda, something like that. Down to bare dirt, nothingness to qualify for the, new lawn watering exemption. If you have bare spots that you are covering with seeds, you have to target those areas by hand watering or a hose end sprinkler, and just throwing seasonal or even long-term seed out, but just throwing it over an existing vegetation of any kind does not qualify for an exemption to the watering rules. About other new plant establishment, you have had shrubs or trees, something like that put in. Here are the rules for that. On the day of installation, new plant material can be watered immediately, regardless of the time of day. You just had it put in, you can water it at any time. Any trees, shrubs, or other non-grass plant material that requires a longer establishment period should be watered separately using hand watering or low volume irrigation technology. So you're in an irrigation zone and you planted some shrubs or a tree. First day you plant it, water at any time. But you cannot turn on your irrigation to help establish those shrubs. What you need to do is hand water them or use a low volume irrigation technology. You are allowed to use soaker hoses there, or even install a micro irrigation, a drip irrigation. It's not a big deal to install. You can retrofit a portion of your irrigation system to target those areas. An entire irrigation zone in an irrigation system may be set to an establishment schedule if the area that zone covers contains 50% new plant material. That hardly ever happens, you know, that you're going to cover up that whole zone with just new plants, but it can. And that isn't not counting sod at that point. So you can use your irrigation zone system, just that zone, on an establishment schedule if it has at least 50% new plant material. If it has less, you got to find a way to target those new plants with water. Irrigation zones that contain less than 50% new plant material must be watered by some targeted means, as I just said, such as hand watering or a soaker hose, so that only the new plant material is irrigated. Now we do have some prohibited water uses. So if you get hit from code enforcement, you don't know why. Maybe it was you violated some of these prohibited water uses that are wasteful and unnecessary. Allowing water to flow from an unattended hose. I don't think anybody does that on purpose, but it is something you want to keep an eye out for, unless that water is discharged from a functional water to air conditioning unit, residential reverse osmosis treatment system, or a similar device. So if you have a water softener, or even an air conditioner that drips water out, we know that's part of the system. You're not going to get hit for that. The other prohibited water uses are hand watering a lawn on an otherwise restricted day or more than once a day, except when used to spot treat or other practices specified, in the flyer there that Swift Mud made. So no, you can't supplement watering your lawn by standing out there all day long with the hose in your hand. Hosing down a driveway or other impervious surface to remove grass clippings or other debris that can be removed with a broom or other dry methods. Hosing down a building or structure to remove cobwebs or other material that can be removed with a broom or other dry methods. And I'm going to get into pressure washing, just wait. Allowing water to flow from a broken sprinkler head, outdoor faucet, or other malfunctioning plumbing or irrigation system component. I don't think anybody wants to do that anyway, but keep an eye on those things. So the following requirements shall apply to all lawn and landscape irrigation. The irrigation of established lawns and landscape is allowed only as followed. Here we're going to get into size of your property. Properties under 2 acres, that's going to be most of us. As far as lawns, not many people want a lawn more than 2 acres, but it's possible. If you have under 2 acres, you may water from, on your watering day, 12:01 a.m. to 8 a.m. That's the time I recommend. Or, you see I highlighted this word, or, after 6 p.m. to 11:59 p.m. Can't do both, you have to choose one. Properties with 2 acres or greater that have sod, that have lawns that they want to water, we're giving you a little bit of extra time. You don't get an extra day. Get a little bit of extra time to hit all of your zones. If you are watering 2 acres or more, you may water from 12 a.m. to 10. So we've stretched you, if you are a 2-acre plot, from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. or from 4 p.m. to 11:50. I bet you that's supposed to be 11:59 p.m. on each allowable watering day. So if you have a massive amount of sod, more than 2 acres, we give you a little extra time on your day. If you're less than 2 acres, you got to follow these, regular watering rules. A user may irrigate established lawns and landscape during only one of the specified time periods on any allowable watering day, not both. We often encourage you to evaluate your irrigation system. And sometimes in the evaluation of it, you have to turn it on and you're up during the daytime. So here are the rules for you allowed to be able to make sure your irrigation system is doing what it's supposed to. The irrigation systems may be operated during restricted times and/or days for cleaning and maintenance purposes, with an attendant on site in the area being tested. Irrigation systems may routinely be operated for such purposes no more than once per week, and the total runtime for each zone shall not exceed 10 minutes during the test. So there you go about that. Okay, you're going to tell me my company came and they put this stuff down and and they said I have to water it. What do I do? Or I want to treat my lawn and it says I have to water it in. What do I do? Well, let's talk about that second one first. I want to treat my lawn. I have to water it in. What do I do? You treat your lawn during the time frame of which you're allowed to water your lawn, so you can water it in. The second one is my company, the company that I pay for is going to do it. I can't make them come before 8 a.m. or be here after 6 p.m. That is true. So the rule there is irrigation for the purpose of watering in insecticides, fungicides, and herbicides is restricted to designated days and times for that address if you're doing it yourself, except for applications by a professional who is in the business of applying such products for remuneration, as long as a chemical advisory marker, they got to put that sign up, containing the day, month, and year of application is posted on the landscape. And where such watering is required by the manufacturers or federal, state, or local law. However, such watering shall be limited to the minimum necessary, shall only be accomplished during the hours allowed above, unless immediate watering is required by the manufacturer. So what does that all mean? If you are doing this treatment yourself, do it after 6 or before 8 on your watering day. If you have a professional coming and they put it down and they tell you it should be watered in within 12 hours, then make sure they put up that sign and after 6, go ahead and water it in. If the product that they're using says you have to water it immediately, then they would be allowed to do it at that point. Let's talk about low volume irrigation of non-lawn areas within the rules. Low volume micro irrigation, such as drip irrigation, misters, soaker hoses, or hand watering. That means using a hose with a self-canceling or shut-off nozzle, or both, of trees, shrubs, landscaping beds, flower beds, vegetable gardens, and other non-lawn plant material shall not be restricted by days of the week. However, such low volume micro irrigation or hand watering shall be limited to the minimum necessary, which is better for the health of the plants as well, and only during the hours allowed above, which is the hours we talked about before. So you can run micro irrigation any day, but still within the time frame listed that before 8 a.m. or after 6 p.m. Again, they cover spot treatment of lawns. Lawns may be spot treated without regard to the normally allowable watering days or times, but they may only be spot treated by hand watering or other targeted manual means. Meaning if you had to put seed in this area, or there's just an area that is looking really, really bad, they call them hot spots. You are allowed to water those in, even with this old-fashioned hose and sprinkler. Just don't put it on real high. You know, you only want it within that small area. And of course, you wouldn't use it on a lawn that's looking as good as this picture here. But make sure, you know, you can tell you're trying to renovate that area. So what about other, and I said I would get to this, other water uses, and people call and they want to know about pressure washing, or they're going to have someone come and pressure wash, or what about washing their cars or running fountains? These things are allowed to go on as normal. Of course, you don't want to pressure wash your sidewalk every day or every week, or your driveway, but you know, if you have someone who comes once a year or so, once every 6 months, to pressure wash your home or all your surface areas, you're allowed to continue to do that. Car washing is not restricted. Fountains are not restricted under our normal everyday watering restrictions. When we start getting into possible drought conditions, the Water Management District will keep a close eye on it, and when they reach a certain threshold, they will start to enact these pre-drought restrictions, which then at that point, they would restrict fountains, car washing, pressure washing, but we would make you aware of, you know, those situations. It's been, I'd say, 4 or 5 years since, you know, we've been in one of those situations, and the media and everyone would make you aware when that was going to happen. So let's just do, so we can cover, let's see how well we covered this situation and how well you can do on a quiz. So think about these things with me now. If my address is 10142 Floodgate Way, what is my watering day? 10142. 10142. So what is their watering day? Tuesday. Very good. Before 8 or after 6 p.m. Uh-oh. Now I lost my quizzes here. Let's see. We'll slowly go back through this. Okay. I live on half an acre. What times am I allowed to water? Well, remember we went over that you only get extra hours if you are watering 2 or more acres. So what time are you allowed to water on your watering day with half an acre? Before what? 8 a.m., right? Or, is that or and? Right, it's or after 6 p.m. Very good. Here's another question. I am putting down new sod in my whole front yard. Do I have an exemption to the watering rules? Yes, you do. And to find out those, please call or email me at LillyB@hernandocounty.us, and I will be glad to email you the new sod watering rules. The next one, I have overseeded my lawn. Do I have an exemption to the watering rules? Very good. No, you don't. Not for overseeding. How about this question? I have an irrigation well pulling water from the Weeki Wachee River. Do I have to follow the watering rules? Why, yes, you do. Yes, you do. The next question. I have plugged a couple bare spots in my yard. Can I turn on just that zone of irrigation to establish the plugs? Kind of a tricky question there. Just a couple bare spots. they didn't sod more than 50% of that zone. So no, they cannot turn on their irrigation to establish the plugs. What can they do? They can use a targeted means. Just about, yeah, every day, but before 8 or after 6. Targeted means, meaning you stand there with a hose in your hand or even a hose end sprinkler that is reaching just that area. My lawn company just sprayed my lawn and says I have to water it in. Can I do that? Yes, you can. If it doesn't need to be done immediately, you can do it after 6 that day. If it does have to be watered in immediately, make sure they have that sign out. And yes, they can water it in. That doesn't mean they need to take 6 hours to do it. They just, the amount that is necessary. Can I hand water my new shrubs? First half of that question, yes, you can. What times? Before 8 or after 6. Or, just to throw something else in there, you can have a low volume system as well during those times. Can I water twice a week if I cut the watering times in half? No, no, you cannot. And even if in theory, you're using the same amount of water, again, we have 180,000 people to keep an eye on. Just makes it easier if everyone follows the same rules, and maybe you would be as honest as the day is long. But again, we have 180,000 people that we, makes it much easier on code enforcement. Everyone is following the same rules. And by the way, that wouldn't be great for your sod. You would create a very a hydroponic lawn, basically, with a very short root system. The next question, can I run my low volume irrigation any day? First part of the question. Yes, you can. Anytime? No, during the times that you're normally allowed to water. All those rules being said, the people who enforce those rules are the Hernando County Code Enforcement Department. If you have a question for them, or, we have a lot of people who want to turn in their neighbors for not following the rules. Here's their phone number, 352-754-4056. Just know they are no longer taking anonymous calls. They are no longer dealing with neighbor disputes. Who doesn't want to get his, other people in trouble? So you have to say who you are and why you're calling. There's something new in the utilities world as well as code enforcement world. It's a combined effort, and I'm very excited about it. Starting this month in January of 2023, they have hired 2 new code enforcement officers who actually came out of our water department. So they are very knowledgeable about water in Hernando County. They are going to be code enforcement officers whose entire focus will be on watering restrictions. They're not going to have to try and juggle every other code enforcement issue out there. There'll be 2 people focusing entirely on watering restrictions. So if you've been getting away with things, just know it's not going to be as easy anymore. And the 2 of them will work a split schedule. So one of them is going to be working almost all of the time. We're going to be working towards like a 24-hour, one of them is going to be out there. So they will work weekends. They will work nights. They will have access into gated communities. You get caught. I don't know the cost, but I know if they catch you actually violating the watering restrictions, then there is, you don't get a warning if they catch you. You start getting fined. And it just, the fines go up pretty quickly. But don't think that, well, my lawn is worth it. I'll just pay the fines and keep watering. It's not a pay to spray situation. It'll quickly move up to where you are going before a special magistrate if you continue to violate the restrictions. So that's exciting out there. And they do have a webpage at this link here where you can report an issue. Just remember, you're not going to be allowed to do it anonymously anymore. And the interesting thing I got off of code enforcement's website are their 5 most common code violations are overgrown grass, trash and debris, unauthorized use of property, inoperable vehicles, and signs, too many signs up. Watering doesn't even make it into the top 5, which, we are so focused on watering, and I notice, the violations as I go around, but that is interesting to me that it doesn't even make the top 5, but it is an issue that we, like I said, 2 new code enforcement officers out there. Hopefully you won't be running across them. And if you do, hopefully it'll be in a positive experience. Here are some ways that you can save water, and we have many classes that go over this, so I'm just going to go over them quickly. Run your automatic irrigation system on an as-needed basis. So, and let your lawn tell you when to water. It'll do that by the blades will fold in half. And when you walk across, your footprints will remain there. When you do put out your water, you only want to put out 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch per watering event. Can't tell you how much time that'll take. We have other classes in which I explain that, and I will point those out to you near the end. Or install a yard that thrives on natural rainfall. That's what I have. Doesn't look beautiful right now. Nobody's does because of the freezes that we had. It's going to come back just fine. Cap off or install micro irrigation around your shrubs and trees. They don't need or want near as much water as that turf needs. And you will be shortening their life if you keep them on the same system as your turf. We have rain barrel workshops once, sometimes twice a month. You can contact me to find out about those. I have classes on rain gardens. And you can direct your downspouts to your landscape beds or your lawn instead of going down the street. We try and do these things so that in 2040, we have a better world for my little great-grandson here. Just a reminder that we are now under the Hernando County Fertilizer Ordinance. Homeowners are not allowed to fertilize their lawns from January 1st to March 31st. I'm going to record a fast class about that right after this, so explanations about that will be available on Facebook as well as YouTube. And just so you know, yes, you can walk into the store and purchase fertilizer. That doesn't change the rule that you're not allowed to apply it during this time frame. And here it says homeowners. Professionals are allowed to apply slow release only, but if you have a professional fertilizing your lawn right now, you might want to consider getting a different professional. They really don't need to start that till mid-March if they have a lot of customers they need to get done. Homeowners will be fine waiting till the beginning of April. If you're interested in the water quality of the water that you receive, you can call Hernando County Utilities, ask for a water quality report. Our number is 352-754-4037. Or you can go to this link that I have here, and it shows all the different well sites and the different years in their water quality reports. City of Brooksville, if you are on their system, here is their phone number, 352-540-3860. If you are on a private well like I am, and like I said, we don't have that chlorination system going through. If you are concerned about your water, you can take samples of your water to the Hernando County Health Department and Environmental Health. So here is their address and phone number. It says private well owners can bring their water samples for bacteriological testing to the Spring Hill Environmental Division of the Florida Department of Health. And here's their address and phone number, and it gives the hours. You can find that on their website, or just email me and I'll send you this information as well. Now, all of these things are going to tell you about the health and safety. I know people have been being visited by vendors who want to sell them water softener systems. In our karst topography, all that sponge-like material that the water's living in, that's all lime rock. So the lime rock, dissolves and gives us here in Florida what we call hard water, which may affect washing your hair, lathering your soap, may affect, sometimes you see the white rings if it's pretty, bad on pots and, things like that. That is not really a health issue, but if it's a issue that you want to change, in your house, and some people do have rust problems as well. I've never run into or experienced that, but I've seen it where, the whole toilet bowl is red, or you can see the red on the side of the house where the, sprinkler system, hit the house with that rusty water. Those are more quality issues that have to deal with, it's not a health and safety issue. It's more quality for the type of life that you want. So just know that they are trying to sell you a system, and if that's how you choose to go, that is entirely your choice. Don't let them use words that'll trick you into thinking it is somehow coming from their municipality wants them to do this, or that it is a health issue at all. If you're worried about health, go to one of these resources that I've shown you here. I do have several classes on Hernando County Government YouTube that will talk about, different watering issues, micro irrigation in the landscape, getting to know your irrigation system, my well, our water, rain gardens, beautiful yards come rain or shine, caring for your lawn when it's hot and dry, how to spend less on lawn irrigation, recycling raindrops is about the rain barrels. They're all there. You can learn a lot more about water conservation from them. And I highly encourage everyone to watch this on YouTube, Water's Journey. Here's the link. Or you can go to YouTube and just search for Water's Journey. It comes in 3 parts. Eye-opening, amazing film about Florida's underground rivers. Here are our upcoming classes. Coming soon, we have classes pretty much every week. Be glad some are virtual, some are in person. And here's a rain barrel workshop we're having on the 21st. Please email me if you are interested in the rain barrel workshop. Again, we'll end with a picture of the beautiful world where our water comes from. And that, a reminder how we want to keep it beautiful and how we want to keep it safe for us. If you have any questions, email me at LillyB, LILLYB, at hernandocounty.us. And thank you very much for listening about Hernando's water rules and how important water is for all of us. And have a beautiful, wonderful, Florida-friendly 2023.